as the unmistakable roar of Ferrari engines filled the air. One thing is certain, it's time to go racing at Indianapolis. Here we are then, what a place. And when Ferrari rolls into town, they put on the big show. And that's what we have here. Round 6 of our phenomenal 2024 calendar. And our final round in North America, because the actual final 2 races will take part in the Finale Mondiale in Italy at the Imola circuit. So there you can see the calendar as it has worked out in 2024. It has been a brilliant season. All the tracks that we've been to, all the racing that we have seen. Very much the sharp end of the championship now for our Pirelli and Pirelli Am drivers in the Ferrari Challenge, of which there is a goodly number. The sun has shone at Indianapolis all weekend long. That's what the cityscape looked like, and this is what the track looks like. And the track and weather conditions are very, very similar right now. 2.5 miles then. This track looks really easy on paper. The 14 turns, though, 5 of which are left-handers, 9 of which are right-handers, say not so easy to get the best out of. So it's a test for our drivers as they've experienced across the course of the weekend, and doubtless will do so during the race today. 30 minutes to come, 45 degrees. The track temperature, air temperature is 32 degrees, and there's about 11 kilometers per hour of wind around as well. So clear blue sky with the exception of a little bit of harmless high cloud. That's the way it looks, and the tarmac, hallowed as it is, and the starter's gantry there. Tony often concerns me how they get up to that starter's gantry. Presumably it's a ladder. I don't know why I mentioned that, but Tony Verlander, Ferrari driver and ambassador, why would you have the answer to that?
Yeah, well, what a place we have this weekend, Indianapolis. This weekend has been the first laps for me, actually, in the race car on this track. And 2, 3 really hard braking zones going into 1, 7, and 12. You need to have the timing right, press that brake pedal over 100 bar and stop the car in the right place. And then we have a section where you really need to ride those curbs. So curbs overall are quite flat, so you can use them quite a lot. Sequence of corners where if you miss one corner, you're going to miss the other 2, 3 next corners as well. So good flow in some parts of the track, and not an easy lap in general to do a good performance. So it took a little bit of time also for me to master this track, and I think I have still a few places to improve. So we saw some great racing yesterday. Some of the inside curbs are higher, so when you are side by side and there's no space and you try to avoid the other driver, and then you just jump over the inside curb. So let's see what kind of racing we're going to get in this start.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you, Tony Verlander. He's a modest man, because certainly in one of his sessions today, he was P1. Right now, we are looking forward to hearing from Shea Adam, who's down there in the hot seat.
P1 in your heart, right, Dave? That's how it works with me and Tony, P1 fastest on track. Well, I want to direct our focus towards P1 on qualifying, because it's Dylan Medler in the number 15 for the collection. Dylan second in the championship. With that pole position, it puts him 1 point behind Roberto Perena, who qualified 4th for today's race. But alongside of him is yesterday's race winner, Matthias Perez-Companc. And let's find out who's going to win today. Drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
I have to say, the championship couldn't be any more exciting. Dylan Medler, who's doing a lot of racing this year, choosing to race in Europe as well as here in North America. Well, there's a points difference in the Drivers' Championship. And Roberto Perena has not had it all his own way this weekend. Dylan has looked sharp. He did beat Matthias Perez-Companc to pole position today, which of course garners him an additional point. So going to be very interesting going into turn number 1.
Yeah, true story. Dylan has had a little bit of up and down with this championship. Some races, really strong performance, just driving away from the other drivers. Then occasionally we see some issues with the drivability. 30-minute race, we see him struggling in the second part of the race in few race weekends. And yeah, Matthias Perez-Companc, he promoted from Pirelli Am to Pirelli class during the season, his first season of racing in Ferrari Challenge. And then Roberto Perena, we really haven't seen him in a top spots. That just consistent every weekend, consistent, scoring good points. Interesting to see if, I mean, the importance of this race for both drivers, Dylan Medler and Roberto Berina. But Dylan is in the perfect spot to get the most out of it this race. So let's see. Also, Matias Perez Compact, what is his approach? He's been a little bit on a safety mode at the starts. He's not been a really aggressive driver. So we saw also yesterday the importance of the race start. So this young driver, we see on the images right now, his first season in Ferrari Challenge and in GT racing in general. So he has gathered a lot of experience. His coach is Os Negri, who is giving him a lot of advice. Os has experience of basically driving everything that has a tarmac on it. So he has so much experience, and they have improved and mastered this class very quickly. An interesting front row we have.
Well, there we have it. Thank you so much, Tony. Yes, who is gonna do it today? Here comes the grid in full for you. Pirelli and Pirelli Am drivers. It's going to be a very interesting run to turn number 1 between these two, Dylan Medler and Matias Perez Compact. Then it's David Musial Jr. and Roberto Perina then going from P4 on the grid. Joe Rubo and Jason McCarthy, they are P5 and P6. Rule neither of those two drivers out of this mix. Michael Porter going from P7. Best of the Trofeo Pirelli Am drivers, well done, David Musial. He goes from pole in class. And Brian Cook and Tony Davis, they're champing at the bit as well from P9 and P10. Cyril Choksi and John Horsch, P11 and P12. And then we see Sebastian Mascaro and Ofer Levy. Then it's Christopher Cagnazzi and Jay Logan, P15 and P16. And then to P17, where we find Frank Szczesniak and Omar Balgasoon will be going from P18 on the grid. So the mix of Pirelli and Pirelli Am drivers. The Pirelli drivers with the red strip across the top of the windscreen. Allow me to remind you the Pirelli Am drivers have a white strip across the top of the windscreen, so you can identify who's doing what in each category. And Dylan Medler and Matias Perez Compact with Dave Musial 2.0 and Roberto Perina. What a front 2 rows of this race, Tony Verlander, standing by to bring you all the action. Tony and Dave and Shay as well on the afternoon rave. Here we go. Cars then will head out of the final turn. We split the screen so that you can see the race start in full from 2 completely different angles. When the green flag flies, then we will be racing. Is Dylan Medler going to be able to check out straight away? There is the start marshal. There is the green flag. Let's go racing. Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli style. It looked like a brilliant start from Dylan Medler. Oh, and disaster there. I think that might be. I'm not actually going to comment because I can't see well enough who that is right at the mid-pack order. Making contact with the concrete wall, which is very, very unforgiving. Now, Dylan Medler did the start absolutely perfectly. No surprise, we've got full course yellow before the cars have even completed 4 turns here, because it looked like one of the cars being caught just a bit and propelled into the wall, but I really only saw that from my secondary vision, if you like, Tony. So not the start that we wanted to see from Dylan Medler. It was a perfect start from him.
Yeah, he did a good start. Looked like for a moment that Matias Compact was able to charge for the lead or even challenge for the first. Is it Brian Cook?
I think it is. It is Brian Cook. No, the other car involved, I'm being told, is Tony Davis.
Whoa, Brian
so
Cook.
So 2 drivers right in the thick of it in terms of the Pirelli Am Championship.
And Brian Cook was out DNF yesterday. Tony Davis had a lot of damage on his car throughout the race yesterday, and also with the livery, I think Brian Cook is in a different car that he drove yesterday. So a lot of drama for these drivers this weekend.
So we've actually got a red flag now. The integral safety of the 296 Challenge cars is unquestioned, and Brian Cook we've already seen walking away from his car. And looked like Tony Davis was just getting out of his car as well. So, well, there we have it. Red flag cars being brought back into the pit lane. Not the sort of start that we want to see necessarily, of course. And, yeah, best wishes to both Brian and Tony. And bearing in mind, they were P2 and P3 on the grid.
Yeah. And the start
There's
itself...
Tony. He's out of the car. Forgive me interrupting you.
Yeah.
Tony Verlander, but Tony Davis is perfectly okay. We know Brian Cook is okay as well, but their race is run.
Yeah, for the start itself, Roberto Berina had a good start from P4. He went to P3, and I even believe there was a little contact between Berina and second place driver Matthias Kompach. As we know, the turn 1 is very tight right-hander, so just before turn in there was a little touch between these two drivers, and it upset the balance and the car of Matthias Perez Kompach a bit. And yeah, then we had the full course yellow, red flag then during the first lap. So also the drivers reacted really well to full course yellow, safety car announcement.
Let's get a replay, Tony, and see if we can pick out what happened here.
Yeah, here we are on the main straight, so we're getting the green flag, and the contact happens more or less midfield. Oh, it's just Brian that ran into Tony Davis. That's what it looked like. He just turned in the rear right of Tony Davis, and then later on at the start, we see the white and red car is touching the rear of Matthias Perez Kompach and almost pushing him off the track, and great car control.
So when you were accelerating like that, and I'm just trying to pick up on what you said there, it looked like Brian came across, and of course, that would have, the contact he made on the Tony Davis car would have unsettled that.
Yeah, we are just obviously commentating what we see on the images. We would need a little bit different angle, and at the start, 2 rows, everybody very close to each other. The margins are just very tiny, and little movements on after the green flag, they may cause things like we just see. So it's very, very difficult to say whose fault, what caused this, but it's part of the start, very close by, and things like this can happen.
Well, we're working our way down the grid then. Jason McCarthy car to the right-hand side. There's the car of Dave Musial 2.0 that we can see there. So, yes, the red flag's out following the very short intervention of a full course yellow then, and the car's all back down into the pit lane. I don't think it's going to be a long stoppage, to be honest. They just need to recover, obviously, the cars from that start incident, and then we can get back to racing again. But very interesting in terms of championship points. Both Brian Cook and Tony Davis effectively out of this race, Tony. So going to make it very exciting going to Imola, that's for sure. Let's take a look once again and see if we can see from perhaps taking a look at it again, whether we can pick it out a bit better. So the clock has stopped at 28:13, and there you can see the cars all standing by in the pit lane. So as promised then, let's see it again. There was some carbon came off a car previous.
For me, Tony Davis doesn't change the line. It's more like Brian Cook is moving to the left, and then there was the contact.
Right.
I was trying to see if Tony Davis's line is changing, but I really didn't see it happening. So.
Okay, well, there we are. We've seen it a couple of times now, but that's why, Tony Verlander, and I know you've had plenty of time, not for doing anything wrong. You've had plenty of time in the race control room. Not because you've been told off, but as an advisor sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you know, in fairness, the race control team, they've got so much data available to them, so many screens available to them.
Yeah, exactly. There is many more angles to see and to analyze, and different to our feed, what we see live here. So, but I must say it's 50-50. I've been 50% of the time an advisor for the race director, but maybe 50% of the occasion has been something I've done on the track as well. So
really,
yeah, I could have done better on my career, I must say, and always with a lot of attitude, and then coming out with the humble ears down mode. So.
Wow, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. So there we have it. I mean, in reality, Tony, when you've been in that race advisor role on behalf of Ferrari up there in race control, they have a very, very difficult job to do. Of course they do. But generally speaking, with all the information that is available to them, I mean, you can make informed decisions.
Yeah, that is true. So what I always try to take and think my position, I feel like I'm there to defend the drivers. For me, it's very easy to put myself in their position, in their perspective. of things, and things change so quickly. Overtaking maneuver start like this. Very rarely you see a driver that on purpose runs another driver off the track, or very anti-sportive moves. There are specific rules to follow regarding the start procedures. So on those things, then I don't have much to defend. So if a driver didn't follow a driver's briefing on other things, and he didn't know what to do, then it's on driver. There's not a big case for me to defend. But overall, I try to always, I don't like this to being a penalty sport in general. I like things to be sorted on track, and try to be also quite logical on the decisions made by the race director and advise him on that.
Thank you, Tony. We're looking into the car of Matthias Compact. There we could see the number 3 car of Brian Cook being taken away. I know the Tony Davis car has been loaded as well, so I don't think we're going to be long with this stoppage. So the Matthias Perez Compact car that you can see there, number 50, driving for Ferrari of Central Florida. Just ahead, of course, is Dylan Medler, who had the perfect start. Behind is Dave Musial 2.0, then it's Roberto Perena, Joe Rubo, Jason McCarthy, and Michael Porter. So this is the Dylan Medler car then, Ferrari of Miami and the Collection. And it's a beautiful livery across this car, and Dylan Medler is clearly an exceptionally talented young driver, and doing a lot of racing, as I mentioned, this season, choosing to mix it up with the European drivers as well, and coming across to Europe and taking part in Trofeo Pirelli in Europe as well, and he's been a very welcome addition to that. Inside this wonderful 296 Challenge car then, and there you can see the dashboard on the left-hand side with all the information that is given to the drivers, including the fact that obviously we have a red flag right now. And on the right-hand side of the dashboard, you can see that big screen that sits up from the middle of the car, which affords the drivers the rear view as well of everything that's going on behind also. So nice to be able to be inside that car now. This is Roberto Perena then, the Ferrari of Seattle driver, going from P4, so inside the Roberto Perena car, and big thumbs up from Roberto. He's looking forward to this race and going to try and at least bank a podium out of this, I would think, and we'll be on to Dave Musial 2.0 as soon as we get back to racing. I do not doubt for one moment these wonderful 296 Challenge cars, which of course have made their debut in the Ferrari Challenge this year and have been absolutely awesome. Just behind is Jason McCarthy, the Wide World Ferrari driver, who's on double duties, Tony, this weekend, because not only is he racing in the 296 Pirelli Challenge, but also racing in the 488 category as well, because this year, with so many drivers wanting to be part of the Ferrari Challenge, it's been a final hurrah year, if you will, of the 488 Challenge. And effectively this afternoon, this will be the last race in the Ferrari Challenge timetable for the 488 cars. So Jason McCarthy choosing to race in both, which is a tall order for a driver. I mean, you've done it, haven't you, where you've jumped out of one and straight into another? Yeah,
that's true. I did once Sebring 12 hours, and also the same weekend there was the WEC race. So same weekend, different kind of cars, a little bit different tires. So it wasn't easy. I thought it would be, but in reality it wasn't. So a lot of respect also for Jason McCarthy, driving and jumping between the 488 Challenge car and the new 296 car. Different requirements regarding the driving style, also the tires, handling, the braking of the cars, between the cars. So it takes a little bit of time to adapt always between the cars. So, but he's done it several times this season, and he's had great results. Today, a little bit of struggle, not a great qualifying with 296, and also with the 488, a little bit of overdriving. He lost the apex several times going into turn one, and car was sliding and maybe didn't have the best braking capability or braking qualities, and difficult qualifyings today for Jason.
Thank you, Tony Verlander, here as a Ferrari driver ambassador and, of course, great broadcaster as well. It's a delight to have him alongside us here to give us his opinion on the action that we get to enjoy very much. So still no news being fed to us with regards to when we will get the racing underway. As I say, I don't think it will be a huge amount of time. Is that the track sweeper just out there to clear up any carbon debris? And probably and presumably, once that is done, we should be able to get underway again. Now, generally speaking, Tony Verlander, in a red flag situation, the clock was stopped at 28:13. We'll hold on to that time?
Yeah, those are good questions. So now the main focus is in which order we start. So I think sometimes there's a rule with the red flag that you take from the previous lap. But as we were on the opening lap, we didn't complete one single lap. So are we back into the original starting order? Is it a single file start behind sort of like a safety car start? And the other good question is what happens with the time? We have a little bit over 28 minutes on the clock, and now it's up to the race director to go by the rules and deliver the message here to the pit lane, and then get the cars in the right order and right format for the start, and also what happens with the clock.
Okay, it's a packed schedule, isn't it? There's a lot going on this weekend. So,
and you have also your flight.
Do you not either? Do you not either, Tony?
No, I love United States, so I will stay here.
You're going to stay here? Oh, charming. You didn't invite me. Right. So what we have, in my opinion, it will be single file, in my opinion, rolling start, single file, behind the safety car initially, then they will go one by one. That's only conjecture on my part. I have no official knowledge of that. That's just what I think will happen. Well, the track looks clear to me. So, of course, race control are deeming once they're satisfied that everything is perfect to go racing once again, then the information will be fed to us in terms of how they're going to enact this restart to this race. I can see that because, of course, we had a full course yellow to begin with.
Yeah, but also an important thing is, as we are in the closing stages of a championship, the race director and the stewards, they really need to be careful to go by the rules. We cannot, as an organizer, to open any loopholes for the protest after the race, the procedures and stuff like that. So you need to be careful, you need to take your time, and once everything is confirmed, then we are good to go.
Okay, Dylan Medler then, and whichever way we restart the race, he is going to be going from P1. He qualified pole position, he held the lead going into turn number 1. Yes, you're absolutely right, Tony. Didn't complete an entire lap, but he stayed at that P1 position. Matthias Kompang was unable to take that away from him. So my opinion is we're going to be behind the safety car for a lap. And yes, we're returning under full course yellow conditions. Not very often, Mr. Verlander, that I get things right, but I think I did on this occasion.
Yeah, you got the information to your ears. So
yeah, oh, right. Yeah, oh, okay.
Just try to look good.
Yeah. So the clock has begun once again, so we are back effectively racing because the clock is counting down, but of course the cars are all behind the safety car. So, yes, we are back with our Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am race. Best wishes, of course, to Tony Davis and also to Brian Cook. Very sad to see them out of the race before even one lap completed. But, yes, our best wishes to both of those drivers. So Dylan now is going to re-energize everything and, like all the other drivers, reset himself. This is effectively the start of the race, isn't it? And he did a good job in the initial start. I don't doubt for a moment that he'll be targeting doing the same when the safety car peels off into the pit lane and we go back to racing again, Tony.
Yeah, I actually think that Dylan Medler has improved his qualities as he approaches the race start or the restart. He's straight on to the pace. He can really feel the car, the grip level, and he can take the most out of it. And these qualities, I believe, have improved. He's very sharp at the race starts in general. Sometimes, like I said, he has struggled towards the end of the race. I think it's more been tire related or setup related thing, and those things have also improved during the year. And I think the fact that we talked the other day was him racing also in a different environment. Ferrari Challenge in Europe has probably taught him some more experience on this. In Nürburgring a week ago, he finished P2 in one of the races where if the level is high here, also in Europe is very high, so it pushes the driver also to improve continuously.
And I mean, there's very little to choose between the standard of the drivers in North America and also in Europe, but of course they are different. It's different tracks, it's different setups, so it's very good for his experience. You're absolutely right. Now, it will be his responsibility when he decides to give it 100% on the loud pedal. It'll be down to Matthias Perez Compact to try and second guess when Dylan Medler is going to go for it. And you can see them there. Dylan is weaving from side to side. I know Tony is not a fan of weaving from side to side in terms of generating temperature. And Dylan goes now.
Yeah, he did good.
He did good. He lulled Matthias Kompack into a false sense of security, and Dylan gave it everything. And across the line, the cars head right now as we get the greens once again and go back to racing. So this is Ferrari Challenge, Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am. We're from Indianapolis then with Dylan Medler, P1, Matthias Kompack, P2, Roberto Perina, P3. Then it is Jason McCarthy, Dave Musial Jr., Joe Rubo, Michael Porter. For the Am drivers, Dave Musial, then it's Ofer Levy, Jay Logan, John Horsch up to P4. So first sequence of turns, bearing in mind the car's tyres will have cooled down during the elongated period in the pit lane. So just gradually bringing those tyres back up to temperature again. And 24 3/4 minutes of this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race to come. So there you can see our leader in Trofeo Pirelli Am, Dave Musial, who took P1 yesterday, has looked lively all weekend, that's for sure. It's Ofer Levy that is P2, Jay Logan P3, but there's still a lot of racing to be done here. And Dave Musial, what he would like to do here is put him a Pirelli car between himself and the challenging Levy car, so that he's got the cushion, if you like, of a Pirelli driver between himself and the next challenging Pirelli Am driver. John Horsch is looking very lively. Also, you can see just John Horsch here in the all-black 296 car. He's really taking it to Jay Logan ahead. So John Horsch then looking lively here. Jay Logan had to really defend here as they cross the start-finish line now. John Horsch, is he close enough to dive into turn number 1 on the inside? I don't think he is. Well, no, he was not able to do so. So for the moment, Jay Logan stays ahead of John Horsch, and it's Omar Balkasoon, Cyril Choksi, Sebastian Mascaro, Chris Gagnazzi, Frank Szczesniak. That's the way it looks in the Pirelli Am driver. So John Horsch will continue to pile that pressure on Jay Logan in the hope of provoking just the tiniest of errors, maybe a little mistake here or there, which would be enough for him to, like a viper, pounce. And here we are on the back straight then, running down behind the paddock. He just dove out of the slipstream for a moment. You can see the car getting a little bit squirrely, Tony, going into that left-hander.
Yeah, there's also the fact that we are in the second day of racing, so drivers do improve and learn how to race, the racecraft itself. Also, they ask more from the race car, their confidence level is higher. Probably some mistakes yesterday, maybe some setup changes as well. So today is sort of like the final of the big finals, meaning that, you know, you have the best parts on your car, the best setup, and the drivers have been really coached to their best capabilities. So we see the highest level of their performance in this race.
Roberto Perina then, who is trying to get on terms with Matthias Kompack. And this is Jason McCarthy and Dave Musial 2.0 with Jason McCarthy in the number 11 car. Dave Musial 2.0 then running in P5. Jason McCarthy is P4 at the moment. We mentioned during our stoppage that Jason McCarthy doing double duties this weekend. He'll step out of this 296 challenge car and get straight into the 488 challenge car to go racing in that, the final race of our weekend here, this Ferrari Challenge weekend here at Indianapolis. And Roberto Perina then is certainly doing a reasonable job. And there you can see that McCarthy and Musial Jr., of course, the more these two are fighting each other, so Roberto Perina is able to escape up the road a bit and is unchallenged by either of these two, as you can see.
Yeah, McCarthy is using a lot of tires with his very hard driving. He brakes really deep into the corner, and his rotation speed is not the same speed. He's a bit slower mid-corner, but he's really aggressively using the tires. And looks like occasionally Musial has a little bit more speed, and there might be a great fight forming up for these two.
Musial is seemingly a very calm driver, isn't he? I mean, I have to say, hats off to Jason McCarthy. I love his driving style because it makes it the most entertaining for me. But yes, you're right. He takes everything out of it. And you can see there going into turn number 1. You're absolutely right. Chooses to brake at the last possible moment, and that perhaps is not always the best trajectory into the turn. Dylan Medler's not having it all his own way either, because just within 7/10 is Matthias Compact as Dylan takes that chicane absolutely full chap flat in his 296 Challenge car that we ride on board with right now, carrying as much speed as possible before the left-hander. But Matthias Compact is keeping with him, and Roberto Perena trying to get on terms with the both of them. We've got 20 minutes of this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli Am race remaining, and there's proof that Matthias Compact is staying with him. He sets the fastest lap, Tony.
Yeah, he doesn't give up. These drivers had the similar race yesterday, just in a different order. Matthias was leading yesterday and Dylan was P2, and now it will be a tight battle throughout the race because there's very tiny margin between these two drivers. I think in qualifying was just 1/10 of a second, and still today they are carrying a completely different line through turn 14 before they head to the main straight. And it's very interesting way how Dylan prepares the car from far left to then take a lot, sort of like a later apex, while Matthias is just very straight to the apex inside curb and stays there and has a little bit wider exit when he hits the oval part and the main straight. So interesting difference there. And I believe Matthias's line is a little bit faster, and for sure he's covering a lot less space. He's using less track meters, so I would suggest that's the best option.
Okay, well, let's see how he does. Here's Levy then, the Ferrari of Silicon Valley driver, Ophir Levy, driving P2, and he's way ahead of Jay Logan, because Jay Logan, of course, has been in that battle with John Horsch, and now Ophir Levy sets the fastest lap. So really curiously, Tony, in this race, the fastest laps of the race so far have come from drivers that are P2 in each of the categories, which is not always the case that you see that. So Ophir Levy then trying to get on terms with Dave Musial. You can see Musial there, bottom of our picture. What he's trying to do is get past Michael Poulter, because that would give him a Pirelli car between himself and Ophir Levy, which is the car center screen that we can see right now, who has set the fastest lap of the race so far within class. Fastest lap in class for Pirelli drivers, Matthias Compact, as he 7/10 down on Dylan Medler, who is leading the race, and it's Roberto Perena who is P3. Now this is the battle that's going on for P3 in Trofeo Pirelli Am. It's John Horsch that is holding that at the moment in the red 296 Challenge car, and John Horsch then in the all-black 296 car running right up towards turn number 1. And he's reeling the Jay Logan car in. Is John Horsch going to make a late break attempt and try and dive to the inside line? No, completely the opposite to that. Stayed and hung it around the outside there. What he's trying to do, I assume, Tony, is he's pushing very hard. You can see him just run onto the grass there. He is trying and hoping for a tiny error from Jay Logan. That would be enough for him to go through.
Yeah, that is true. So intelligent driving right now from the driver just behind on the black car, really learning the lines. We see, this is the P3 car, so Logan and Horesi on the images. So yeah, he's just learning and trying to see what the driver ahead is doing, and then seek for the right opportunity. And he has a lot of speed through the corners. Again, he had a very good exit going towards the last corners on track, and let's see if there's an overtaking attempt here.
Gotta be, surely. Gotta be, as he dives to the inside line. Discretion the better part of valor, though, dived out of it as Jay Logan continues to hold on to that P3 place. But my goodness me, these are so close together. My bet is John will try and set this up now for a go going into turn number 1. Carry as much speed down this start-finish straight as he possibly can. But this is where Jay Logan has got pace as well. So here comes John Horsch then. He does dive to the inside line right now, and he's done it. He's gone through, and I have to say, he made that look very easy indeed.
Yeah, overtaking on the main straight, and yeah, there was not a real battle for the place. So yeah, like you said, it looked quite easy.
So that is a provisional podium place for John Horsch then, in the all-black 296 Challenge car. Now he's been released from that, dare I say it, cork in a bottle. He's up the road, isn't he?
Yeah, true. A lot of pace straight away. Sometimes things happen in a way that when you're following closely another car, you sort of adapt the rhythm ahead, and you struggle to do your own pace. When you have a clear track instead, then you can really go the speed that you normally do, and then the others cannot follow. So this often happens in racing as well.
We're at about half distance of this race, 15.5 minutes remaining, and Dave Musial Sr. has not yet been able to find a way past the Pirelli car of Michael Porter, which is ahead of him. Meantime, this is Dave Musial Jr. and Jason McCarthy, who have delivered some fantastic racing over the season and some fantastic entertainment for us, that's for sure. Jason McCarthy, who drives in a completely 100% everything out fashion, and Dave Musial 2.0, who's just a little bit more circumspect, may I say, with his driving style. Both drivers are supremely quick. Now this is Cyril Choksi going through, and Cyril Choksi then going through on the Omar Balkasoon car, and Sebastian Mascaro trying to do exactly the same. Sebastian Mascaro in the really gold and black 296 challenge car, and just behind them is Chris Cagnazzi as well, and Cyril Choksi likewise. Now he's got past what was clearly a slower car, he's able to escape up the road, and for Cyril Choksi moving up from Copichel into this Pirelli, and now Sebastian Mascaro with a very brave move going into that turn. Tony, I'm tempted to say that almost looked textbook.
Yeah, that was great stuff. He had a very good run to the back straight, and then very determined in the braking zone, and no contact. Nothing special on that aspect, but just great driving.
In the Trofeo Pirelli race, Dylan Medler has extended his lead now to 1.229 seconds over Matthias Kompak, and Roberto Perena steadfast in that P3 possession. Jason McCarthy, then it's Dave Musial 2.0, then it is Joe Rubo. This is the number 55 car, or that was the number 55 car, Roberto Perena. Here it is once again. There you can see center picture here, running in P3 at the moment. So through the chicane, the Ferrari of Seattle driver carries all the speed through there, completely full chat flat. Here is Dylan Medler, and well, 1.22 seconds ahead of the car of Matthias Kompak, who has got about the same, perhaps a bit more, over this man, Roberto Perena, running in P3. For the AM drivers, it's Musial from Levy and Horsch. They are the top three. And we've got exactly 13 minutes of the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race remaining here at the Indianapolis circuit. And Dylan Medler then. There you can see the progress chart on the left-hand side of your screen. Two big movers. Ophir Levy then up 5 places. Omar Balkasoon up for 4 places, but by dint of losing a couple of cars, that certainly helped both of their progresses, if you will. Jason McCarthy up 2 places as well, and it's Jason McCarthy that we're looking at right now as Dave Musial 2.0, and he continued to contest this P4 place, which at the moment, Jason McCarthy, and you mentioned the 2 driving styles, the difference between the driving styles of Jason McCarthy and Dave Musial 2.0. He has got to be one of the most difficult guys to get by and overtake anyway because of his driving style.
Yeah, it's true. Jason doesn't give an inch for free. You just need to really have a good run on him and get the car side by side, and then I've seen some drivers overtaking him, and when the situation is very clear, there's no issue. But before that, and to get into that position, it takes a lot of work. And we see Musial Jr. for several laps following really closely Jason McCarthy, but not yet. We have seen any attempt to overtake, but now the speed the Musial has is almost evident that he has more pace than McCarthy.
I think I would agree with that completely, but it's all very well being as quick or even quicker than the car in front of you. You've got to find a way by. That is altogether a different prospect. So Jason McCarthy holding on to this P4 place from Dave Musial 2.0 then, who's chasing him for all he is worth. And Jason McCarthy just hanging the car out as best he can. He will have undoubtedly probably taken a little bit more out of the rubber in the first half of this race. And you can see how they run within millimeters of that concrete wall on the exit of turn turn 14. It's amazing to watch. The precision as Cyril Choksi is on a mission now, and he's got Jay Logan in his target sights. So John Horsch went by on Jay Logan earlier on, and now Cyril Choksi looks like he might have a go going into turn number 1. He's certainly close enough to be able to do it. Who's going to be king of the late breakers here? Is Cyril going to switch into the inside line? No, he's not. He follows Jay Logan absolutely through the turn. So Cyril Choksi then with pace, no question. Where is he going to put a move on the number 70 car that we can see of Jay Logan? Where is it going to come? Perhaps into this, I think it's quite close enough. Is he to have a go going into the left-hander here? But he is reeling him in now. Let's see if he can get a little bit closer. Under braking the cars, you can see them really compress the front end of the cars. But for the moment, unable to do anything. Jay holds on to this P4 place. But he is being hounded by Cyril Choksi with just under 10 minutes of the race remaining. Sebastian Mascaro's not so far behind either. Sebastian Mascaro running in P6. So on to briefly the oval, then back onto the infield section of this wonderful circuit here at Indianapolis as Cyril Choksi pushes and pushes and pushes. Jay Logan taking slightly different lines. So Cyril Choksi, who moved up to Pirelli Am from the Shell drivers right now, is he as close as he was last time around? I'm not convinced that he is. It's got to be an inside line move. Just as I mentioned that, he does take a look at the inside, but I think Jay has got just enough to be able to close the door and say, no way.
Yeah, close racing, tight battle into turn 1, but no real chance to overtake. And yeah, Cyril Choksi just backs off in the attempt to overtake.
So Cyril will have to go all over again. And we're just beginning to get to the closing stages of this race, where presumably, even though we've not run, as Cyril Choksi now takes a look at Jay, but Jay was able to hold on to that place. I'm just going to say, with 8 minutes remaining, presumably, Tony, this is when tyre deg is going to be at its greatest, isn't it?
Yeah, now a lot of car control is needed. When you're really taking the car to the limits, the tires are giving up just a tiny bit, so you need to be careful. Yesterday we saw some driver errors at this stage of the race. Drivers are a bit tired, tires are falling off, and then you just run into trouble. So here is Musil.
Levy was within a second of him now. As he takes a look at the inside, this is what he needs to do to put that Pirelli driver between himself and Ofer Levy. But he ran a bit too deep. But Dave is able to close the door, and you can see how Levy has got ever closer now. But now, of course, he's got to try and navigate his way around a Pirelli driver before he can get back on terms with Dave Musiel. So Dave needed to do that, and he has done it. It probably took him a bit longer than I expected.
Yeah, it was a tight battle into turn 1, and he studied this move for many laps. And like you said, he was able to put now one Pirelli driver in between him and Levy. So important move. Now he just needs to go back on his own pace and try to pull.
Oh, that is Dave Musial 2.0 in the pits and out of the car, I believe. So that's a great shame, and that means the order is now Medler, Compank, Perena, McCarthy, Rubo, Porter. And still, Cyril Choksi in his quest to try and find a way by Jay Logan has not been able to execute that yet. And therefore, Sebastian Mascaro is getting closer. So Jay Logan doing a good job of defending here from Cyril Choksi. This is the argument that is going on over the places, the 10, 11, and 12. So across the timing line they come with just about 6¼ minutes remaining. Surreal Choxy, will he take a look at the inside line this time? Don't think he's close enough. Honestly, don't think. No, and he didn't. So Jay can breathe a sigh of relief once again as Surreal Choxy is held behind. So, of course, when you're running in the dirty air behind a car that you are trying to attack for lap after lap after lap, it's not only physically demanding on you as a racing driver, but it's demanding on the car. You're taking a lot out of it, aren't you?
Yeah, that is true. So even the car that retired, Musial Jr., he was following McCarthy very closely for a long time. So just wondering if that may have caused something on the race car. Yeah, there was also at the actual start, there was a contact on the main straight, but if you pick up something, debris or stuff like that, but it was all cleaned and we've done several laps, so very unfortunate retirement. But in general, like you said, if you follow a car for a long time, you take a lot more from the brakes and from the tires in general. So ideal place in the races is what Dylan Medler has had for the whole race distance so far. So lead the race, do your own pace, own rhythm, and in the clean air, clear track ahead of you, and you can do a good lap times every lap.
5 minutes remaining in this race then, and Matthias Kompak has stayed within sort of 1.5 seconds. It's up to 1.7 between the two of them now, and Roberto Perena has thrown absolutely everything at it, but the top two drivers, Matthias Kompak and Dylan Medler, their best laps were in the 24s, whereas Roberto Perena has not been able to quite put it into the 24s. So the Ferrari of Central Florida driver, who is running P2 at the moment, is Matthias Kompak. There he is. Dylan Medler leading the race, and yeah, 1.746 last time around. It's going to be very interesting now just to see with tyre deg. Going to be interested to see what the gap is when they cross the timing line for this time around. What do we got? 4 minutes of the race remaining. There's Roberto Perena, Ferrari of Seattle driver, running in P3. Dylan Medler leading the race, and as they cross the timing line now, Dylan Medler over Matthias Kompak, and well, the gap actually maintains at 1.7. So yeah, very, very good gap that Dylan Medler has over Matthias Kompak, and it's been maintained at 1.7 seconds. So meantime, Surreal Choxy and Jay Logan, the fight for P4 continues, and Surreal Choxy has dropped away a little bit now. He was running previously much closer to Jay Logan. I just feel that probably his best attempts to go by have maybe gone away, or maybe Surreal is just cooling everything down for a lap or so before having another go. And sure enough, under braking going into turn number 1, Surreal Choxy getting a bit closer to Jay Logan this time around. So this is not all over yet. 3 minutes for the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am race. The race is being led by Dylan Medler for the Pirelli category, and for Dave Musial for the Am category of drivers. Now Surreal Choxy getting a real drag race here with Jay Logan. He's going to have to be big and bold to go to the inside line. He tried it once before. This time around, he's just not close enough to be able to do it.
Yeah, this fight just keeps going on. There's several attempts. One of the drivers a bit faster in some part of the track, and then Surreal Choxy really strong coming out of that turn, really like going close to those tires and have a good run through turn 10. So tight battle continues. We had a really clean race so far, apart from the start itself, where we had a big action between Brian Cook and Tony Davis. We had the red flag, but after that we've seen a very good and clear run throughout the 30-minute race.
I agree with you, and we're into the final 2 minutes of this Ferrari Challenge race with Dylan Medler and Matthias Kompak, P1 and P2 for our Pirelli drivers. It's Dave Musial and Ofer Levy, P1 and P2 for our AM drivers. And Surreal Choxy continuing to really pile the pressure on Jay Logan. I have to say, what's been really impressive for me is the fact that Jay Logan, like a sponge, has been able to absorb all the pressure and actually not fall foul by making an error of judgment.
Yeah, but that just shows the skill level of these drivers. Even under pressure, another car following very close by, driver can still keep his concentration, keep the car on the optimum line all the time. And even in this track, it's not easy to overtake. If the driver defends a little bit, then the overtaking opportunities are cut quite short. The list of taking opportunities is quite short, so not an easy task. It almost requires a driver mistake.
We're on to the last lap then of this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race as we watch the Pirelli AM leader Dave Musial, who's about to start his final lap. Dylan Medler, of course, has crossed the line to start the final lap in the race overall, but you can see the white flag flying. Is the final lap then for this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM race. Dylan Medler from Matthias Compact and Roberto Perina. Then it is Dave Musial, Ofer Levy and John Horsch, the top three for our Pirelli AM drivers. Dylan Medler then, who, for my money, Tony, has just this weekend looked absolutely unbeatable. I mean, he has just been precise, he's been accurate, he's been quick. He has just done everything that he has needed to do.
Yeah, a lot of determination. Maybe the experience and this has brought more confidence in his driving, and he seems to be more determined behind the wheel, more on the task, more on the goal. I need to get back in the championship lead, and I need to take race wins.
There is the goal, the checkered flag, and Dylan Medler is victorious here at Indianapolis. The fireworks fly as Matthias Compact takes P2 and Roberto Perina takes P3. So a great drive from Dylan Medler. And here comes Dave Musial then in the number 30 car, heading for another victory. And there he is then, rounding the final turn and heading for home. As Dave Musial, he takes victory for the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. And for P2, it's Ofer Levy and John Horsch will be P3. And well, a drag race to the line between these two who've been chasing for that P4 place between Jay Logan and Cyril Choksi. So there we have it then, the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli AM race. What an extraordinary race that was. So on that basis, of course, Dylan will take over the championship lead by a plum, I'm tempted to say. And of course, for Dylan Medler and Roberto Perina, next stop, Italy.
Yeah, Dylan Medler, strong pace throughout the race. Matthias dropped down a bit on the last laps of the race, and actually Perina was closing on him. And the fight between Perina and Medler, it's very important, the position also of Matthias Perez Compact. So he's in the middle of changing the points split, so
yes.
it would have been important for Perina to at least arrive P2, but yeah, very tight battle and goes into the finals in Imola.
Well, that was a dramatic race in some regards because, of course, the opening lap incident. Let's get the results in full for you right now, and here they are on screen. Dylan Medler taking the win from Matthias Perez Compact P2, then it's Roberto Perina, Jason McCarthy and Joe Rubo. Now David Musial, once again, best of the drivers in Pirelli AM, and he was ahead of Michael Porter and Ofer Levy, who takes P2 in class, John Horsch P3 in class, then it was Jay Logan, Cyril Choksi, Sebastian Mascaro, Omar Balkas and Chris Cagnazzi. Dave Musial 2.0 had to bring the car into the pit lane, and we also saw demise of Frank Szczesniak, Brian Cook and Tony Davis. Confirmation of the classification. Cars all making their way back into the pit lane then. And there we can see on screen the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, racing capital of the world museum, which I have to say, on the 3 or 4 times I've been here to Indianapolis, I've never had the chance, because you worked me so hard, Tony Verlander, to go in and have a look in the museum. But
yeah, we have a busy schedule here, so there's not a lot of time to relax.
Oh, the celebrations down there. As Dylan Medler hauls his very tall frame out of the car. I mean, he's a big bloke.
Yeah, good job. Great drive. Great performance this morning in qualifying.
I mean, look at the difference between the two of them. I mean, if he wasn't a racing driver, you know, he could be he could be a villain in a James Bond movie, couldn't he?
Yeah, but
Sorry,
great drive. Yeah, great drive. And he really set the pace in qualifying, and that was the key to his great result. He was calm at the actual race start, very well controlled start after the safety car, and he was able to have a good run through the race. And Matthias wasn't able to follow him today. Yesterday was the other way around, and today is Dylan's day.
And Dylan Medler right now has been accosted by Shea Adam.
And for Dylan Medler, third one of the year, 9th podium. Did you think that this was possible coming into 2024?
100%. That was definitely our goal. We knew we were competing for the championship before we even started the year, so this is definitely exactly where we think we'd be.
Now looking forward to Italy as the championship leader provisionally. How did things change?
Nothing changes. Head down and keep going. Try to absolutely destroy the competition, but no chance.
Job done today. Congratulations.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well done, Dylan Medler. We'll take a look at the championship points and how that changes things. For Dylan Medler then, who's congratulated by all and sundry, of course. And, well, there you can see 4 points. Roberto Perina now drops to P2 in the Drivers' Championship. So close going into Imola. Then Matthias Companc, P3 in the Drivers' Championship points, only 7 points behind. Then Dave Musial, 2.0, Jason McCarthy, Joe Rubo, Martin Burrows, and Michael Petromalo, P7 and P8 in the Drivers' Championship. Then John Bennett, Jeremy Clark, Christian Potolicchio, Michael Porter, and Brett Curtis, the Pirelli Drivers' Championship. So as the flags fly here at Indianapolis and we get a wonderful shot, we take a look at the Drivers' Championship for the Pirelli AM drivers, and Brian Cook, Tony Davis, P1 and P2, both not finishing that race, of course. Then it's David Musial, P3 in the Drivers' Championship points for John Horsch, P4. Cyril Choksi has jumped 6 places up to P5, ahead of Sebastian Mascaro, Omar Balkasoon and Jay Logan. They are the top 8 in the points, with Michael Mathis, Frank Chang, Brad Falva, Chris Cagnazzi, Frank Szczesniak, Benoit Bergeron, Ofer Levy now up a place, and Brandon Cruz and Brian Kaminsky completing the Pirelli AM Drivers' Championship tally. Dave Musial has done it again, and he's with Shea Adam.
Yes, he has, Dave. Sweep of the weekend. How sweet is it to kiss those bricks?
It's great. You know, it's great to be up here again. It was a little difficult. I had a guy in another class ahead of me that he wasn't going to move, so I had to show him that I was faster than him, and I was. And the guy behind me was catching me in my class, so I pretty much just said, you know what, I can't let that guy get any closer to me. I was being considerate, but once he was starting to hold me up, I had to pass him.
You did exactly what you wanted, which was to keep up with the guys ahead, even though they were in a different class. Did you enjoy the racing this weekend?
I did. It was great. You know, anytime you have a perfect weekend, I think the only thing I might have missed was fastest lap in this race, but to be on pole twice, to win twice, fastest lap, I'll take that.
Congrats, Dave. Stoked for you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll take that. Well done, Dave Musial, then. Brilliant job done. From Shea, from Tony Verlander, and also from myself, thank you so much for watching that Trofeo Pirelli race from Ferrari Challenge.